So new developments concerning the assassination of Malcolm X has surfaced, proving what we've been saying for decades, that the U.S. government was directly responsible in the assassination of our brother, Malcolm X, and falsely blamed the Nation of Islam for it.
Potentially explosive new information involving the assassination of civil rights activist Malcolm X 50 years ago today. It comes from the family of a former NYPD officer in a letter released after his death.
And government agencies and the media have always been in on it.
NYPD and the FBI orchestrated this meticulously.
Malcolm X's family, along with civil rights attorney Ben Crump, held an official press conference bringing forth the deathbed confession of another less-known government informant, Raymond Wood. It was Wood who was the second mysterious assailant in Malcolm's assassination that police took away from the crime scene of the Jewish-operated Audubon Ballroom. Wood, like Gene Roberts and others, were government informants sent to infiltrate Malcolm's newly formed organizations. Even worse, they became some of Malcolm's top security personnel. So while Malcolm lashed out his anger toward his teacher and the Muslims, he was unaware that his personal security were government agents working against him the whole time.
I wanted you to know that my house was bombed. It was bombed by the black Muslim movement upon the orders of Elijah Muhammad. And I say that because of this. The police know the criminal operation of the black Muslim movement because they have thoroughly infiltrated.
My name is Gene Roberts, and I was assigned by the New York City Police Department to infiltrate Malcolm's organization.
So the fact that these developments are just now being officially made public proves beyond doubt that the government and the media have been outright lying about Malcolm's assassination and trying to turn you against the Nation of Islam. And unfortunately, many of our people fell for the enemy's propaganda. Hell, even Malcolm fell victim to it. What's even worse is that many will still hold on to these false narratives despite the evidence that's been presented.
This letter details the FBI, and the NYPD's involvement in the assassination of Malcolm X.
In truth, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam have already been proving these things for several years, but many chose to disregard the truth so they can believe our enemies' narratives.
Where there are 2 or 3 gathered together in my name, there I am also in the midst of you. Well, the FBI say the same thing. Wherever 2 or 3 of you get together talking about you planning something, he's the third. If there are 2, he's the third. If there are 3, he's the 4th. If there's 5, he's the 6th. But he's present, and don't you fool yourself. When you sit down planning your madness, he's there.
Malcolm's assassination and the controlled lies that have covered it up have been extremely detrimental to black people as a whole. Malcolm's family was victimized and lied to, causing all manner of trauma to his family. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan have been wrongfully slandered, and the Nation of Islam has been consistently lied on, resulting in many Muslims being attacked, harmed, and killed because misguided people felt the nation was responsible. That's why God warns us in the Holy Quran to look carefully into news brought to us by unrighteous people, because we might harm others in ignorance thinking we're doing the right thing. To this day, there are those who've harbored tremendous hate and animosity for the nation and our leadership because they believe the false narrative that's been strategically popularized in the media.
Who killed Malcolm X? 3 black Muslims, members of the Nation of Islam, were convicted. 2 of them served 20 years. The third is still not free. But the current leader of the Nation of Islam, Louis Farrakhan, has long been suspected as the instigator, the behind-the-scenes force who triggered the killing.
The nation has been extremely victimized by these lies and attacks for several decades. And quite frankly, somebody owes the Muslims an apology and reparations for years of false slander and defamation. As a result of these prolonged lies and disinformation campaigns against the Nation of Islam, Black youth have been most victimized by the government's assassination and cover-up of Brother Malcolm, because our people have been turned against the very wisdom that made Malcolm the great freedom fighter he was. And you can never fully benefit from Malcolm's greatness if you don't know what empowered him in the first place. The same enemies that killed him are the same enemies who are controlling the false narratives about him and the Nation of Islam. See, if we continue ignoring the real enemies behind Malcolm's demise, then we'll continue falling for the same tricks. That's why it's important to note that the Anti-Defamation League was advising the FBI and law enforcement agencies during the time they were devising Malcolm's assassination. This is a fact. And this is extremely important information that none of the so-called researchers have been bold enough to cite, except for those in the Nation of Islam. Look, it is outright negligent to disregard the fact that Jewish groups who characterized Malcolm as the leading Black anti-Semite were the same ones advising the government agencies that plotted his death. That's not just something you just overlook. And since the Nation of Islam has consistently pinpointed who the real Satan is, they've always wanted to turn you against those of us who are unafraid to expose and challenge these real satanic powers. That's why they hated Malcolm then, and that's why they hate Minister Farrakhan now.
Now, when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad comes along and begins to list the historic deeds, the historic attitude, the historic behavior of the white man in this country toward the Black people in this country, again, the white people are so guilty that they can't stop doing these things to make Mr. Muhammad appear wrong, so they hide their wrong by saying that he is teaching hatred. History is not hatred.
That's the reason the U.S. government orchestrated Brother Malcolm's assassination, lied about it, and tried to blame the nation. It's all to turn you against the very source of Malcolm's greatness, the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. This new evidence of Malcolm's assassination confirms what the Nation of Islam had already been proving for decades. But let's see how the enemy and their trolls handle these developments.
Malcolm X was not killed by the FOI. Malcolm X was killed by the FBI. Ooh. That's who killed Malcolm X.
Will they admit that the Nation of Islam has been telling the truth all these years? And will they admit that all those movies and news segments and articles and narratives they've been circulating are based in lies? Now keep in mind that our enemies have made billions of dollars and have maintained their power status by keeping people ignorant to the truth. So we'd be foolish to expect the devil to suddenly do what's right. Rather, we'd be wise to study the truth that the nation offers, especially if you sincerely love Malcolm and want true justice for his family and our people. Oh, stay connected with us as we continue to show and prove how the research verifies the revelation.